Hey guys, Stevie here. So as a Trentahin gamer, we don't really care much about chasing max FPS anymore. Rather, what we care about is if this thing or this Legion Go 2 actually fits into our lifestyle. Now, after overusing this for a month now, let us walk you through our experience with it. We actually pre-ordered this back in October last year, and we got it around January last month here in the Philippines. So we paid around 73,000 pesos for the 1 terabyte version. And now, as per the Lenovo PH website, it's now 83,000 pesos. I believe that is due to the recent rise in computer components. So at that price, let's see what you're really getting for this device. So the first thing you'll notice here is the 8.8-inch OLED display. So as I mentioned, it would have deep black, spongy colors, amazing contrast. The only downside here is that it's so glossy, you will see your own reflection. If you've never used OLED before, this will blow you away. But if you have already used OLED, especially the QD OLED, this won't feel revolutionary. Rather, it'll just feel normal. The resolution is now 1920 by 1200 instead of the 2560 by 1600 from the original Legion Go 1. Although it's still 16 by 10, honestly, the 1600p was overkill on a screen of this size. We ran our old Legion Go 1 at 1200p most of the time anyway. So this downgrade actually makes sense performance-wise. That said, I still question the 16 by 9, or rather the 16 by 10. Most of the games and media are 16 by compatible with 16 by 9. So the extra vertical space here sometimes feels like wasted performance. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And then for the controls and ergonomics, the buttons feel mostly familiar. We now have a proper and menu and view buttons over here. Though I still accidentally hit this performance button sometimes, or the Legion space buttons. So muscle memory adjustment is real on this one. And the new side shortcut buttons that you see here on the left are actually very useful on a Windows handheld. So it acts like an alt tab in a way that you can also configure as well. And then the other is a show desktop button, as mentioned, as you can see here. So we didn't have this in the original Legion Go 1. Then the D-pad now has a circular guide. So I believe this will be much better for fighting games. And the Hall effect analog sticks are still here. No stick drift so far, so that's a big plus. Can't really say how long it will last, but we've had this GameSir Cyclone 2 controller for quite a while now and had hundreds of hours of gameplay, which has the same Hall effect sticks, by the way, but still yet to experience any stick drift around this one. Then the RGB ring lights are more pronounced here compared to the Legion Go 1. The ABXY button feels similar, nothing groundbreaking here. At the top, we have the other USB-C port, where we actually have an accessory here to make the charging breeze. Let me quickly show you. So this one. And we also have the fingerprint scanner here. As you can see, it also has lights to indicate the performance state of the device, whether it's in silent mode, balanced mode, performance mode, or if you're using a custom profile. Now the triggers feel bigger and much smoother to press. And also it feels really tactile, especially the RB and LB. Then we also have the speaker here, 2 speakers, and it's still upward facing rather than on the front. To be honest, it would have been better if they just put it here in the front and made the screen a bit smaller vertical wise and made it 16 by 9 so that they can squeeze in the speaker somewhere around on the top or the bottom of the screen, so it would sound better on the front, although it's better compared to the Legion Go 1 now. Then on the back side, we still have these 6 additional buttons. So 4 on the back here, as you can see, and 2 on the side where you're on FPS mode. Personally, for me, I usually map these buttons on the menu and view buttons accordingly, and also have the other buttons to be the A or dash button or confirm button. Because normally I sometimes play it with on one hand while it's on the side like this. So while I'm lying on my side, I just use one hand, and then if you need to hit the next button or a button while reading dialogues or even while you're dashing in the game like in Elden Ring, you had to hold the a button, and then at the same time you wanted to pan the camera. So again, you can do that simultaneously now without having your hands look awkward like this when you're trying to dash while trying to pan the camera. So I don't know if it's just me. Let me know down in the comments. Then for the side buttons, I wouldn't really recommend mapping anything here, as I usually misclick it when I'm playing. So for example, you're playing here, yeah, you might misclick this while playing. So having this additional buttons is quite a necessity for me now. And then just going back to the back, we finally have the built-in kickstand. So it's actually quite sturdy. So I hope this lasts long, as you can see here. Then the detachable controllers are still snap on and off like a switch, and it feels satisfying to detach and reattach, so you can see here. Sorry, let me just get this back. Now, I don't normally play FPS games here on the Legion Go one, although it can be used for FPS games wherein you can set this right controller to be the mouse. Then there's this accessory you have that you just need to put in here so you can use it as a mouse. But yeah, as mentioned, personally, I don't use this for FPS games. I'd rather use a actual mouse and keyboard for it rather. And then on the right side of the controller, we still have the single trackpad, as you can see here. For me personally, I don't use this that much, and I actually have it turned off most of the time. It just gets in the way when you're gaming, like when we hold it like this. We tend to hit it with my palm, as you can see here. So sometimes it does some accidental clicks. So yeah, I usually leave it off most of the time and just use the touch screen. Now at the bottom, we have the SD card slot, as you can see here, and the USB port and a 3.5 millimeter jack, which we normally don't see nowadays, especially here in 2026. We haven't really used the SD card slot, as the 1 TB version is enough for us when we don't really play or install too many games simultaneously. Now, again, the ergonomics are better this time. It has more curves and less sharp edges. The scroll wheel at the back is surprisingly useful as for long dialogues and menus. But here's the issue. The thing weighs around a kilo. It's actually quite heavy and bulky, not really ideal for travel. I'd honestly bring a Nintendo Switch 2 for trips, because it's more slimmer and less heavy for me. So this is the Legion Go 2 is more of a home handheld, something I'd rather use on the table and plug in most of the time. Now for battery life, like the Digimon story here that we're currently playing, at max settings in performance mode, I get around 1.5 to 2 hours in this game. And then for lighter indie or tactical games like the Final Fantasy Tactics, which we recently completed as well, we usually got around 5 to 6 hours of playtime on that one. So I believe that's acceptable for a Windows handheld. It also came with a 65-watt charger, of which you can also buy a 100-watt charger if you wish to have a faster charging speed. Then let's quickly talk about the software. It runs on the Windows 11, as you might have seen. And I've never been a fan of Windows on handhelds. First boot, you get updates, Microsoft Store updates, driver updates, Legion Go updates. Then you have to install Steam, Battle.net, Epic Games, so whatever platform that you're currently using. And even then, you're not really done. So for the Legion Go, you'll need to go to the BIOS to update the VRAM setting to boost the performance. And if you're really not someone who's aware of these kinds of tweaks, then you're not getting your money's worth on this. I know you can load other operating systems on this, such as the Steam or Bazite or whatever. But then again, if you're not the type who likes tinkering, this is not plug and play really. And actually, this is where consoles like the Switch or the PS5 shine. Really, you just play with it. No need for more tweaking around it. But then again, here's the trade-off. So Windows means compatibility. So almost everything runs on this device. So it's powerful but not simple. Now let's talk about the major issues, or there are some minor issues as well. So one of them is of which is the sleep mode is still unreliable. So this was actually one of my biggest gripes when I had the Legion Go 1, and it still is this time. So there are times that when we hit the power switch over here, so it goes to sleep mode, but then it suddenly just wakes up back again on its own for no reason. Like you just lift it up and store it somewhere, then for some reason it would open again. And then there are also times that when we put it in sleep mode for a long period of time, like an hour or so, it doesn't wake up when we hit the power switch. So the white light just keeps on blinking and the device becomes very hot. I had to hold down the switch to force it to shut down. The current workaround here, though, as mentioned by others, is to update the settings of this one to use hibernate instead of sleep. And then another thing is this new fingerprint scanner here is inconsistent. I ended up using the pin anyway. But then again, another thing I hate the most here is I couldn't remove the lock pin code on this device without having to use a local Windows account or using hacks like updating the registry keys. It's a bit annoying to keep on putting the pin code every time. If you're just here at the house, you don't really need security for that one. So yeah. Then there's the occasional audio crackling sound. So after you wake it up from sleep, although it doesn't happen very often. I believe it's a bug with the software which they haven't fixed yet, even with our last updates. Our current workaround for that is by toggling the spatial sound, as you can see here. So this spatial sound, I just toggle this from here, then turn it back off so that would fix the crackling sound that you hear. So for 83,000 pesos, these issues shouldn't really exist. Now, the Legion's performance overlay works well by using, clicking this button over here. So you can here adjust the thermal menu. You can see the performance. Again, set the thermal mode for balance or performance, quiet mode. You can adjust this fan speed, and then you can also limit the FPS. And at the same time, there's this OS power mode here, which if you like playing CPU intensive games, you might want to put this in performance. Otherwise, we usually just put this in balance mode. Then over here, the settings, we can see the brightness, volume, the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi toggles. You can switch over the resolution to lower resolutions or the native. Then the display refresh rate, we just set this to 60 Hertz because usually you won't get high FPS on this device. So rather, we just save a bit more battery by using a lower refresh rate. Then if you want to monitor your FPS, so it has a built-in monitoring FPS monitoring system rather than using the one from Riva Tuner from MSI Afterburner. And then we have the Radeon Super Resolution toggle over here, which acts like a lossless scaling from Steam, wherein if you're using, or rather, if you have your game on a lower resolution, it can upscale your resolution to your native without affecting the performance, essentially. Then we have the one-time screen burn-in prevention over here, since this being an OLED, so it makes sense to have like pixel shifting over here. It auto adjusts the brightness. And also, as you might have seen, the OS comes into dark mode. And then let's go through the controller here. So you can quickly change here the controller settings like the mapping, the vibration. You even have different vibration modes, the lighting effects. You can toggle it here. I actually use it, usually just set this to off since it's a bit distracting when you play in a dark room. And as mentioned, the touchpad we normally turn off. Gyro behavior we don't really use as well. Then also the controller hibernation where you want it to turn off after an idle period. Then we have some quick settings here that we normally use for Windows, like the Xbox button, file manager, mute. So yeah. Then over here, just the productivity mode. If you want to use this on an external display via a hub, you can do so here. And then some quick links for the help if you need. Then of course the power management setting. So yeah, that's the performance panel. And then let's quickly go to the Legion space, which works fine for us. As we can see here, we have a quick dashboard, the performance of your Legion Go. You can also, I guess in a way, you can see here the settings that we've already seen earlier, although it's more pronounced over here. We have the display again. So it's more or less the same settings. Audio, this driver. So here you can opt to check for updates or check your storage as well. And then in general, they're pretty much, for example, here you can optimize the battery charging to only limit to 80%. So you can extend the battery life. So you have those settings over here. Then let's quickly go to like the Legion Space store. So it's like the Steam wherein you can buy games as well. The profile, so you can have your own profile for your Legion Space. Library, so this is like a culmination of all your platform games like Steam, Xbox, Hub. As you can see here, you can directly open those games. And then let's quickly go through the controller. So again, you can see here the button mapping to which you can set different profiles as well, even on when you're either on gamepad mode or FPS mode. You can see here the layout. Then if you want to change the mappings on the back side, the button mappings of the back buttons, so you can do so here. For example, here we're using one that's we're using to record in the OBS. And actually even sorry, just to go back, even here on the functions shortcuts. So this Legion space here can be used in combination of other different buttons here to as a shortcut. So you can also configure them here as well. Then the lighting, so you can change the lightings over here. So it's turned off right now. Joystick settings, can adjust the dead zone of the sticks. Trigger settings, so how sensitive this will be. And then gyro settings, we've set this to default, which is enabled. Disabled. And you can also do some calibration for your controllers. And then finally in the more page, so pretty much less the same, the vibrations, touchpad vibration, the controller hibernation. Then you can also update your controller firmware. Now, the Legion space works fine, as mentioned, but the big feature that's missing right now is the Microsoft's Xbox full screen experience. So it's not officially available yet on the Legion Go 2. The Xbox full screen experience is essentially like a different master boot sequence of Windows of sorts, where it loads only your library of games or any other services that are related to gaming rather than the full OS, and thereby it calls the unwanted services in the background, allegedly boosting the performance of the device. Per my experience, I have not been able to use that yet, and it's, as mentioned, not yet available for the Legion Go 2, not officially at least. There are workarounds from Reddit saying they were able to use it by doing some tweaks on the registry or through the GitHub. Then now for the performance, there already we won't really deep dive into benchmarks as there's a lot of videos on that already that you can go through. But then the Legion, the Ryzen Z2 Extreme gets the job done for us. So you may need to tone down some settings on newer AAA games, and you'll be good. Then for older titles, indie games, emulation, this will be perfect. Personally, I bought this to play lighter games on the couch or the bed. But ironically, whenever we lie down to play, I tend to fall asleep. So now I mostly use it on the table. So yeah, welcome to being a Trentahin. Then finally, we have the verdict. So at 83,000 pesos, I don't think this will be worth the price. Yes, the OLED screen is beautiful. Yes, the screen is larger than most handhelds, but that alone doesn't justify the cost. So other handhelds can perform similarly, like the Steam Deck, the Xbox or ROG Ally, or even the MSI Claw. And with the Windows issues, we've encountered sleep bugs, fingerprint inconsistencies, and occasional audio problems. It's a bit hard to recommend at full price. If it drops significantly, maybe, but right now it's powerful, it's impressive, but it's not practical for the price. And that's my honest 1 month experience with the Legion Go 2, not as a benchmark chaser, not as a spec nerd or anything, but as a Trentahin gamer trying to fit gaming into real life. So if this helped you decide whether this fits your lifestyle, hit like and subscribe. And if you've had similar issues, let me know in the comments below. And if you're still choosing between this, the Switch, or any other handheld, I might make a comparison next. So we'll see. So this has been Stevie and Skippy. We'll be seeing you guys in the next one.